Hello, I'm Colleen Pearl, the Cool Crone, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for all of your comments, and to my new subscribers, a big thank you and welcome. In today's video, we will be looking at the major astrological events of 2021 as it relates to the sign Taurus. You should watch the video for your rising sign and your sun sign, as both will be very informative. 2021 has a lot happening astrologically, so let's get into it. Hello, Taurus. All right, let's begin with New Year's Day, 2021. The year starts out with two stelliums almost right next to each other. 3 planets in Capricorn, 3 planets in Aquarius. So on January 1st, we have Sun, Mercury, and Pluto in Capricorn. Now, Pluto's getting to the tail end of Capricorn, but he's still going to be there for the next 4 years. And Taurus, you've probably been feeling this the whole time that Pluto has been in Capricorn. This is trining you, your rising sign, if you're listening for your rising sign, your sun, if you're a Taurus sun. So those of you born from the mid to later parts of Taurus have been feeling this probably for about 6 years. Those of you who are in the earlier part of Taurus, it's probably easing up by now, and you felt it more from 2008 to about 2014. Now, Sun, Mercury, and Pluto on January 1st are all lined up in Capricorn. The Sun and Mercury are not conjunct. They had been conjunct probably for the week prior to this, so the week between Christmas and New Year's. This would put a tremendous focus on your 9th house. 9th house is foreign cultures, foreign cuisines, different religions, different from the religion you grew up with, different philosophies from ones you grew up with, things that you would consider exotic. Also the publishing industry, the legal industry, the internet, higher learning, college, things like that. So you've been really looking at your philosophical outlook in life and really examining it. It's really been a journey for you, Taurus. It's been really probably since 2008. You have had to really ask yourself some hard questions and probably had some hard experiences in the last 12 years that really made you question your motives for how you live your life, whatever your philosophy or religion really is, and asked you some tough questions about whether you are presenting yourself to the world and living your life in such a way that you'll be really happy about it when you're done. So nothing less than the existential questions of life has been happening for you over the last, let's say, 6 to 12 years. So that's how your year starts out, is just a little reminder, because when the Sun and Mercury catch up to Pluto, and they will in January and then surpass it because Pluto's very slow moving, you will get a little clarity, a little moment that lets you go, oh, I see now. So probably for the last few years, and by few, I mean like 6 to 10 years, this has been an annual event, really. Every time the Sun and Mercury pass over Pluto, which has been hanging out in that area of your life, it gives you some clarity. So I'm sure that for you, maybe not New Year's resolutions, but certainly New Year's understandings have almost become a tradition for you. Then we also have the stellium in Aquarius, and that is made up of, really not a stellium technically, but it's Jupiter and Saturn, which have just gone into Aquarius on December 21st, 2020, and then the asteroid Pallas Athena. And I don't even know if Pallas is really conjunct there. Let me check. Yeah, it actually is. So we do have a type of stellium, although the asteroids are usually not included in those kinds of lineups. So what does this mean? Well, the beginnings for you of this year are revelatory. This is going to hit your 10th house, or it is hitting your 10th house. So you are looking at your own career, your legacy, what mark you're going to really make in the world, how you deal with the public, and make some changes. You're looking at the structures that you've held on to, the philosophies and values that you've adhered to over the years, and you're deciding that you want to move or not with the new, with the future. Your career is really in focus as far as lessons that you're learning, but also opportunities that are coming your way. So you've got a nice situation with your career right now, but you're also questioning, have I kept up with the times? Is this really, am I being true to myself? Is this really making me happy? Do I really want to do this job for a very, very long time? Maybe there's an easier way to work. Maybe there's a better way to work. Maybe there's a newer way to work. But still in all, you're in a comfortable position because Jupiter is there making sure that you are comfortable. Jupiter is expanding the opportunities that you want. Saturn is putting constriction on it. It contracts those opportunities by honing them down into a more refined choice. So rather than having, this huge choice where the field is wide open, Saturn narrows it down to something that you can really wrap your head around, which is good because sometimes when people have too much choice, they can't make any choice at all. Taurus usually doesn't have that problem because Taurus is very practical and you can figure out how to put things in your little boxes and which box do you need and want and what's more important. You're very good at prioritizing that way. So that's how you start out your year. Now, Venus is coming along in your 8th house, and so you may have had some money boons in the end of 2020 and possibly still in the beginning of 2021. You may have had some gifts or some payouts or some unexpected little bonuses that you weren't counting on, which is very pleasant, right? Now, on January 14th, Uranus, who has been moving retrograde for a while, Uranus will be going direct. And that event usually heralds some big weather event or a big world event. Uranus is in Taurus, so this event could affect the food industry. But then again, it could also just affect our environment, the planet. So Uranus is very hard to predict because it is by nature unpredictable. Uranus brings about not just chaos and not destruction, that's Pluto, but Uranus brings about the unexpected, the surprise, the possibly chaotic, but more erratic. Something that just shouldn't work or something that just shouldn't be is. And then 2 days later, Mars is conjunct Uranus, and this is not great. This will mean some kind of an event that involves possibly weapons or things that are sharp. Mars in the sign of Taurus is not particularly volatile, but it's very strong. So Mars combined with Uranus can be an unpleasant event on a world stage. Now, on a personal note, as I said, or haven't said yet, this is happening in your first house. So there is going to be something really unexpected that happens for you that affects you personally. It could affect your body. So it could be an injury of some kind or an accident. It could affect the way you look. It could affect the way you present yourself to the world. It could affect something that's very personal and means a lot to you because it's dealing with your first house. And just having Uranus in your first house is a game changer. And Uranus has been there for a while. So I'm not saying that this is everyday habits, for you. Uranus never is that. Uranus is always something surprising and unexpected. But Uranus with Mars is big. There's something big that's going to happen right in the middle of January for you personally that is going to be surprising, super surprising. Now, could that be something really good? Sure. It could be something amazing. Mars is energy. It's mainly male energy. It's aggressive. It's projective. It's going forward. Uranus rules things like electricity, but big things that use electricity, like an airplane, right? But also Uranus rules the internet. It rules space. It rules the masses. That's why when things are caused by Uranus, like big weather events or natural disasters, it usually affects a pretty big swath of the population. So for you having Uranus in your first house, I'm sure that you have thought about different things that affect large parts of the population. Having Uranus in your first house for a long time probably makes you feel more eccentric, more unconventional, more like breaking the rules, even though you're a Taurus. And Uranus in Taurus has really been such a surprise for most astrologers. Most astrologers really figured it would have many things to do with the environment and agriculture, right? Because those are typically Taurian subjects. But Taurus also is a Venus, sign. So there's also beauty, the beauty industry, fashion, our beauty identity, cosmetics, the way we dress, the way we make ourselves up. And look at how much society has changed with that in the last few years, in the last decade, really. We have begun to accept that literally anything goes. Anybody can be whatever they want. Anybody can wear whatever kinds of clothes they want. They can wear whatever kinds of makeup that they want. Any kind of hairstyles or glasses, clothing, jewelry. There is no unisex anymore. It's just like, yeah, that's a necklace. Like nobody's really like, oh no, that's for a woman. Hello, it's like for anybody who likes it. So that's the influence of Uranus in Taurus. It does also affect things with the food industry and the planet and the environment and things like that. Obviously, because look at all the wackadoodle things that have happened over the last 7 years or so from Uranus being in Taurus. I mean, it's kind of blown things up, hasn't it? All right. So the 14th of January, we will have a moon, not a new moon or anything, but it'll be a crescent moon in Aquarius, and it's going to hit those planets in Aquarius in your ninth house. Ninth house? No, your 10th house. So you've got your career stuff getting a spotlight on the 14th. So the 14th is also the day that Uranus goes direct. The 16th is the day that Mars conjuncts it, and you may feel the impact of that conjunction from the 14th or maybe earlier, and it'll last for just a couple of days. All right, at the end of January, the event that we're focusing on is Mercury. Mercury is going retrograde for the first time in the year, and it is going retrograde in an air sign, in Aquarius. So Aquarius for you is your 10th house. So all this stuff that's going on with the 10th house for you, now you've got Mercury retrograde there. Mercury retrograde there, though, gives you kind of a breather from all this pressure that Saturn's been putting you under. So when it comes to your career, your legacy, what you're going to leave in the world, how you deal with the public, that Mercury retrograde is going to give you a chance to slow down, take a breath, really analyze what's going on, really look clearly at what's going on, and analyze all the ducks in all the rows and decide, do I want to go on with all these ducks in these rows? Maybe I want some purple ducks instead of all yellow ducks, maybe I only need 4 ducks instead of 15. You're going to be making decisions about this stuff while Mercury's retrograde. And then when Mercury goes direct, you're going to enact the plans that you've made in your analysis. So that's what's happening there. And Mercury will finally go direct in February 20th. Now, just before Mercury goes direct on February 17th, we have the first of several squares between, first of several events. Yeah, it is a square. Yeah, they're all squares. Saturn square Uranus. So this is going to affect you greatly. This is affecting your 10th and your first house. So your career, but also your image, who you are, your brand. The first house, I used to call it, that it was the first impression. When you walk in a room, that's what people see. They meet your rising sign. And I still say that. But now I also say, first house, that's your brand. That's how you brand yourself. That's how you put out to the world, this is who I am. For me, this is Colleen Pearl. This is the Cool Crone. That's my brand. I'm a Capricorn rising. I'm all about the older wisdom. That's what a crone is. So you are, if you've got Taurus rising, you've got Uranus there, and it's going to square up with Saturn on the 17th. And I just want to take a peek here if Mars is also going to be with that Uranus at that time. No. So Mars is far enough away that it's not, that's good, because, Mars is that volatility. Mars is sharp objects and blood and war. So it's better if we don't involve Mars. Saturn is the restriction, and that's actually a nice counterbalance to Uranus. But no matter what, it means that there will be an event around that date, February 17th, where things will be very uncomfortable, very unpleasant. I'm not going to say that's a good day to stay home and not be at your job. I'm going to say that you need to be ready for that by taking that Mercury retrograde period and really, really examining things. Mercury will still be retrograde when it happens. So even if you say something wrong, do something wrong, take a misstep, Mercury will be retrograde, so you probably will be able to recover from that once Mercury goes direct and completely out of shadow. But who wants to have to play cleanup, right? Nobody really wants to do that. So what you should do is do your Mercury retrograde studying and analysis and be ready for that moment on the 17th. And I've already said that Mercury goes direct on the 20th, and then at the end of the month we have this power shot. This is like the astrological equivalent of that Monster energy drink. Mars trine Pluto. Tremendous amount of energy. Mars is in Taurus, which isn't an explosive sign. It's an earth sign and it's a fixed sign. So Mars in Taurus, though, is powerful. It's the heavy push. It's the bull pushing the boulder uphill. It's a lot of energy pushing up. And then you've got Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto in Capricorn is digging up all that old Capricorn stuff. And what it's exposing is corruption, the dark underbelly of corporations and certain industries like the food industry, which is being shown to be really hideous in their practices. The pharmacology industry, which, they say they're helping people, but they're also making a buck, and they're doing whatever they can to make that buck. The environmental situation, where you've got so many people who are taking advantage of the resources on our Earth, probably hurting Earth, but indirectly hurting people in the surrounding communities by releasing toxins into the environment. So Mars trine Pluto is going to be a big push on the end of February, on February 27th, probably to clean up some of those messes. And it's going to affect you, not from your 10th house, but from your 9th house to your first house. So that's your brand, putting it out into the world and showing it, but not through your career, but showing it through your beliefs, through your values, through your actions as a human involved with humanity. And maybe abroad, maybe going further abroad. So that's a very interesting day. That's a very interesting day. And on around the 27th, when this happens, the planets are in such interesting alignment. They're all, clumped up on one side of the heavens. There's like nothing in the other side of the heavens. They're all clumped up between 2, 3, 4, and a little bit of 5. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Really across the span of about 4 signs. So all the planets are really clumped together in like a quarter of the circle, which means that humanity in general are really focused on these particular areas of life. It's a little different for everybody because everybody's chart is going to fit a little differently into that, but nevertheless, there's tremendous amount of focus on these areas. Now we come to March. On March 8th to 10th, we have a conjunction of the Sun to Neptune. This is beautiful. And for you, Taurus, it hits your 11th house. So this is hitting you for friends, hopes, wishes, dreams, making you think about retirement longingly, making you think about groups that you belong to, how to make them better, how to help them, how to reach out and give of yourself to society in general. So that Sun conjunct Neptune is going to be very dreamy. You'll have probably some really great encounters those couple of days, or you may be in a fog. It depends on your relationship with Neptune. You may be in a situation where Neptune makes everything so dreamy that you can't get anything done. And it wouldn't be a bad time to just take a few days off and meditate for 48 hours. I might do that. I mean, it's a great aspect to take advantage of. And see, the Sun's going to be right towards the end of Pisces, which is where Neptune is right now. So the first week of March, take a couple of days off and spend it meditating, literally for a couple of days. See what happens. Maybe fast or something like that. It would be a great spiritual experience, great timing to do that. Now, on the 13th of March, we have Venus going conjunct with Neptune. So that would be the follow-up spa day to all that fasting and meditation. That would be the time where you really indulge yourself, really pamper yourself, and have a great time. Now, having said that, just a little caveat about Neptune. Neptune is the great dissolver. So think about things that could dissolve. Wherever Neptune is in your chart, that's where you may find some things dissolving. So if your Neptune is, say, in the house for, in the third house for friends and friendships there, you might dissolve a couple of friendships. So, just a little word of warning. It can go either way. We have free will, and we choose to use the energies that are predicted astrologically in, not just positive or negative ways, but in our own way. And depending on where we're at vibrationally, we may choose that time to dissolve friendships. That may be the perfect time to say, you know what, I'm just going to get rid of this girl. You're just going to use it. Or it could be, oh, you know what, I'm going to do a spa day with Ruth. She and I have lost touch. I just want to reconnect and have a really nice day. And that may be a beautiful, almost like a fantasy day for the two of you to really rekindle your friendship. So there's lots of different ways that you can use this energy. And the more you know about astrological energies of the planets, the more you can really kind of ride the wave of these energies and make the best use of them. Anyway, that's my thing. Now, the next day on the about 2 weeks later, on the 28th of March, Venus will conjunct with Chiron. So let me tell you a little bit about Chiron first. Chiron is the wounded healer, and it's a planet that was discovered in the 80s. And this was around the time where a lot of people started really actively seeking to sought to treat themselves, to get into 12-step programs. Well, a lot of 12-step programs hadn't even been created yet. AA was like the original 12-step program, and it had been created. And my experience with this is that I met people who previously had drug problems. They overcame them in rehab, and then they went on to educate themselves about counseling, and they became counselors mainly through AA, because AA has such a great counseling. I mean, it's really built around counseling. It's really all built around support and counseling. So it's interesting that Chiron was discovered around this time. Chiron is known as the Rainbow Bridge and the Wounded Healer. So the planet itself, it's a very small planet. It's actually about the size of Pluto. And it orbits between Saturn and Uranus, and it just goes in a figure 8 around these two planets and follows them as those two planets go around the zodiac. So it's always, it's not really, it is its own planet, because it's not a moon to either planet. It goes around both of them. So it's very often retrograde, because from our perspective, it looks like it's going backwards when it's going on these weird elliptical path on this path. So wherever Chiron is in your chart, is where it indicates that you have had some kind of a trauma or wound in the past, probably in childhood, maybe late teens, early 20s, but usually in childhood. It is also where the wounding as a result of that trauma can hold you back. But once you heal from it or through it, then you possess the ability to help others heal from similar trauma. So this is the thing about alcoholics becoming alcoholic counselors. They have the empathy to know what the situation is like, and they have the desire to really help, to not stop in their quest, even if it gets tough. So this is what Chiron does in our charts, and we're going to have Venus connecting to Chiron. So we're going to have this divine feminine energy connecting with the wounded healer and giving you a boost of healing. And this is happening in your 12th house. It's a great place for healing to take place, because 12th house is where we sabotage ourselves. 12th house is where we hang on to trauma and to things that hurt us, and we continually repeat events or attract and create events to hurt ourselves over and over again. 12th house is one of the things it's known for, is the house of self-sabotage. So I'm not saying that in everybody's chart that Chiron is in the 12th house. I'm saying it's transiting Aries, which is your 12th house, Taurus. So this would be a good time. Again, that period where Mercury was retrograde, a very good time to begin looking at, just asking the question of your higher self or the universe, how can I heal from this? And can you help? Some people don't even realize that they have this wound, and they need help identifying the wound and then healing from that wound. So, you've got these opportunities here with the planetary energies to find out what the trauma is, and to get help healing or to heal yourself. And then perhaps you can go on to heal others concerning that same type of wound or trauma. The next thing that we're going to talk about is in May. And in May, we have our first eclipse. But the first thing that happens in May that's important is on May 14th, Jupiter enters the sign of Pisces. Now, Jupiter does very well in the sign of Pisces. It is the classic ruler of Pisces. And Jupiter in Pisces feels good. It just feels like this is where we want to be. Jupiter, it can be very compassionate. Jupiter is the expansive planet. So when it is exuding compassion, it's exuding a lot of compassion for many, many people. So this isn't somebody who's just, feeding the cats in their backyard. This is somebody who's starting a cat shelter. This energy is about, creating sanctuaries for people. This is about counseling. This is about really helping, again, healing. people. So having Jupiter go into Pisces at that time is just really a wonderful feel, a beautiful, beautiful, compassionate feel. And so I'm thinking that by May 14th, when Jupiter goes into Pisces, that's when a lot of the programs of the new administration are really going to kick in, and when people are going to really start feeling good. Now, May, it's kind of a long ways to wait, but think about it. They get in January 20th and they try to get stuff moving, but it may take some time. And they may be, doing things before that, but I think by May is when there's a shift in the public consciousness that they can trust the government, because Jupiter is a part of the government just like Saturn is. And Jupiter going into Pisces, that sign of compassion, will go a long ways towards helping people trust that their government is going to help them. Okay, now the eclipse. The eclipse occurs on May 26th in Sagittarius, and this is going to be in your 8th house. So big changes with any shared resources, big changes to things having to do with your relationship with the occult, or any kind of large sums of money. I always call it the house of big money. So it would be your mortgage, your big personal loan or construction loan, your 401k, your investments, anything that having to do with the stock market. Also, anything having to do with the occult or sex or death or taxes. All those things are in the 8th house. Things that are people don't talk about very much, but they're out there and they'd rather not talk about them very much. Okay. That's the 26th. It's at 5 degrees Sagittarius, 26 minutes. If you don't have any planets around 5 degrees of a mutable sign, you may not feel this. Now, you may have planets at 5 degrees in fire signs, and then you would feel it in a very positive way. But if you have 5 degrees of Sagittarius, Virgo, Gemini, or Pisces, you may feel it also. But if you've got planets at 5 degrees of the fire signs, you may feel it. You will especially feel it if you have 5 degrees of a fire sign or a mutable sign on your ascendant, that's your rising sign, descendant, that's right across, 180 degrees across the chart, your midheaven, which is the 10th house, or your IC, which is the 4th house. So that's how the eclipses really hit you, is when they hit one of those 4 points in your chart. Bingo, that's when you're really going to feel it. And then any planets that pass over that particular eclipse point afterwards will reignite that or refine whatever had to be changed by the eclipse. So, and then at the end of the month, again, we have another Mercury retrograde, this time in Gemini. It's going to last the traditional about 3 weeks. And that, my friends, is going to land in your 2nd house. So, 2nd house for you is your money and resources, your skills and talents, the way you earn money, the way you spend money. So it's really your values. And at this point in May, you will have Venus in your 2nd house. So you will have good money vibes going on in your 2nd house. The moon on that day, no, it'll be way past that. The moon will be somewhere up here. Anyway, the Venus and Mercury will be there, but Mercury will go retrograde. So what does that mean? Does that mean that you cannot spend any money? You cannot make any money? You cannot sell anything? No. What it means is that if you have to sign paper for anything, you're going to read it very carefully, and you're going to find out if it's possible to postpone it until after the 22nd of June. If that's not possible, then you're going to get everybody that you know who can read contracts or binders or clauses, any lawyers, any, people who are just smart that way, have them read over it so that you don't make any mistakes unnecessarily. The problem with Mercury retrograde in Gemini is that Mercury is one of the rulers of Gemini, and it's very active in that sign. So when it's retrograde in that sign, it's very active in that sign. So it's a big Mercury retrograde. Things that will happen will be like, losing your keys, getting locked out of which would lock you out of your house or your car, burning the toast in a toaster. Small electrical appliances are ruled by Mercury. Crafts, making things with your hands, are ruled by Mercury. So be careful with your glue guns during Mercury retrograde in Gemini. Be careful with your computer. Make sure it's backed up. That's true for almost every Mercury retrograde. And anything to do with small amounts of money, children, small people, small things, small money, small appliances. These are all going to be falling under the auspices of a Gemini retrograde. Okay, so that's what we have during May and up to the end of May. And then we come to June, and on June 10th, we have a solar eclipse in Gemini also. So it's still going to be focusing on your money. So Mercury will still be retrograde because it's only the 10th of June and it doesn't go direct till the 22nd of June. But this could herald some big change having to do with your finances. Now, that's not necessarily just your job and your income, because finances do come from other places. Think about changes that could affect your 401k or retirement plan, that could affect a bonus, an extra amount of money that you're getting. That's the kind of thing that would be affected with this solar eclipse. Also, how you feel about your ability to make or spend money, your talents, your skills. You are a resource. And so the eclipse would focus on that as well. So while Mercury is retrograde and this solar eclipse happens in Gemini at 19 degrees 47 minutes, you may not feel at that red hot moment a whole bunch of changes, especially because Mercury is retrograde then. But when other planets go over that point of 19 degrees Gemini, if that's a sensitive point for you in your chart, that's when you're going to feel it. Okay? All right. So if you're Taurus rising, then you do not have fire signs except for on your 4th house. So that eclipse, if you have something in your 4th house that resonates to the degrees of either of those eclipses, either the May 26 eclipse, I think that was 5 degrees, Sag, or 5 or 6 degrees Sag, and the solar eclipse on the 10th at 19 degrees Gemini, so make that 20 degrees Gemini. If you have any planets around Leo in those degrees, then this is going to affect you. But for you, Taurus, the solar eclipse is probably not going to affect you too much, because if you have Taurus rising, those are the signs that you're going to have on those houses. Now, if you're a Taurus sun, I can't speak to that. I would have to see your chart. All right. July starts with a bang, because Mars, which is traveling like a son of a gun this year, it's just going so fast through all of the signs. And by now, Mars is well into Leo, and it is in opposition to the planet Saturn. Now, Mars started out the year in Aries, and it's all the way up to Leo. It's incredible that it's going that fast. Anyway, so Mars is going to be in opposition to Saturn, and that is going to hit your 4th house, as we talked about before. Leo's your 4th house, up to your 10th house, your career house. So Saturn is still hanging out in the 10th house. Jupiter has moved on to Pisces, to your 11th house. But Saturn is still in your 10th house, which means that there's still an emphasis on your career and somewhat difficulties. There's going to be delays on things for your career. There's going to be restrictions. There's going to be confinement. There's also going to be things that come into laser focus. If you're able to work on things where you really need to concentrate on them, that way you can use that energy from Saturn, because Saturn is giving you perseverance, the ability to concentrate for long periods of time, crystal vision, laser focus, things like that. So it's not just delays and restriction. There's a lot of positive things with Saturn as well. Mars is going to be opposing that on July 1st, and while Mars is busting out in Leo, it loves that fire sign energy, and it's in your fourth house. So here's you thinking, well, maybe I'll just move across the country and get a new job if I don't like what's going on with my career here. You could be thinking things like that. Mars in the fourth house is going to put your energy into your home. You're going to be looking at what can I do to improve my home? What can I do to expand my living situation? Maybe you need expansion. Maybe you just need a bigger house. What can I do to make it more mine? Put my stamp on it. Leo is all about me, my stamp, the way I look, me, the center of attention. So Mars being in your fourth house there means that maybe you don't like the way the house is decorated. Maybe you don't like the way the house is painted or the way the siding looks. Maybe you want to put on a deck. You want to put your brand on it is what you're trying to do. And Saturn is all about restriction at work. So maybe it's pulling you back. Maybe there's too many hours at work. Maybe there's not enough money for you to put the deck on the house, whatever. But so there's a tension there that you're going to be dealing with in July. Okay, so then we have pretty calm waters for a while. Not a whole bunch of astrological stuff happening between beginning of July and the end of September. So you've got July, August, and most of September where it's kind of a snooze fest. So that'd be a good time to take your vacation. September 27th, Mercury goes retrograde again. Did I ever tell you when Mercury went direct from that last one? I think I did. Yeah, June 22nd. Okay. So September 27th, Mercury goes retrograde in Libra. So here's Mercury in Libra. This is your sixth house. So this has to do with your work environment, the people that you engage with at work. Also, it has to do with your health, how you take care of your body. So you've got Mercury retrograde there. So you're going to be examining the methods of the way you do things at work, your routines. Are they good? The way you sit at your desk, is that not good for you? Maybe you need to change that. Maybe you just don't feel that your desk is, your office space or desk is conducive to really getting a lot of work done. Maybe you want to redo it, redecorate it in some way, rearrange it. And Mercury retrograde is a great time to figure that out, not necessarily do it, but to figure it out. So you'll be looking at and re-examining and reanalyzing ways that you do things at work and the beauty of it, because Libra is a Venus sign, so Libra's looking at the beauty of it. And you probably will engage other people. Libra loves a good partner. Libra hates to do anything by themselves. So they always want to have somebody to chat with while they figure things out. Okay? Then we've got on October 17th, Jupiter goes direct. Now, I'll tell you about Jupiter going retrograde. In June, Jupiter went retrograde right before Mercury went direct. So on June 21st, Jupiter went retrograde and it started going back into Aquarius. On June 22nd, that's when Mercury went direct. So they kind of switched. One started going backwards and one went forwards. So it goes direct after, that was in June. Yeah. So for a few months, Jupiter is retrograde. It goes direct on October 17th. And this time, Mercury goes direct about the same time. It goes direct the next day on October 18th. So October is going to push things forward in a way that you'll really feel. You're sensitive to these things, Taurus, because you are also ruled by Venus, and Libra is a Venus planet. So you're going to be sensitive to it. It may not be an earth-shaking change, but you're going to feel it. So Jupiter direct on October 17th it's still going to be in Aquarius, which is your 10th house, but it's going to very quickly move on into Pisces, which is your 11th house. So it's very quickly it's going to give you a little taste in your career sector, and then it's going to go on to that sector for hopes, dreams, and wishes, and friends and social groups and things like that. So that kind of opens up your social life a bit more. And also, I feel like all this 2021 really has you looking forward to when you are really fulfilling your dreams, retirement, travel, or doing every hobby you ever thought of, or engaging in philanthropy. It's really focusing on that end of your life, even though that may be very far away or it may be very near. I don't know, but it's going to be a focus. Then we come to the big kahuna of the Uranus aspects, which is on November 15th. On November 15th, Mars is by now in Scorpio. God, it went from Leo, zipped through everything and came up to Scorpio, and it's going to be opposing Uranus in Taurus. So your Uranus in Taurus is in your first house if you're Taurus rising, and then Scorpio is going to be in your 7th house for partners. So this could be a big eruption in a relationship. This could be you having a showdown with somebody, or it or not. I mean, sometimes these events don't hit you right between the eyes because you don't have that sensitive degree in your chart. However, most likely you are feeling that Uranus energy, and the Mars tension energy is probably going to come, even if you're not in a relationship. It could come from some male energy person who is a partner on some level to you. It could be somebody that you work very closely with at work. It could be somebody that you work closely with on a community setting. It could be a neighbor. Maybe you had a project together. There's going to be some kind of, I'm going to say probably a blow up, and it may be, blown up and then over as quick as it happened. Maybe not, because Mars in Scorpio is probably not going to let it go too easily. That Scorpio is very intense. And, even though Uranus is the unpredictable planet, in Taurus, it has longevity too. So I think this is going to be a major break of some kind, a major difficulty of some kind. It will also probably coincide with some sort of major natural disaster or weather event on our planet, unfortunately, that's as well. So 4 days after that, we have a lunar eclipse in Taurus at 27 degrees, 14 minutes. And that's going to be in your first house. So another big emphasis on you, on your body, on your brand, on the way you look, on how you present yourself to the world. So look out for that. There's lots of big changes going on for you, Taurus. And then we go all the way into December on the 4th to have the echoing solar eclipse, which is going to be in Sagittarius. This solar eclipse, Sagittarius, is going back to the Gemini Sagittarius axis, which is what the other eclipses have been through 2021. And that Gemini Sag axis for you focuses on your resources, on your money and your shared resources. So this eclipse that's in Taurus is kind of the odd man out, because that's the foreshadowing of the following year's eclipses, where they will be on the Taurus-Scorpio axis, which is going to figure into your personal life and your partner's or your relationships life. So that's there's a lot of energy focusing on you, on just you personally, what's going on with you. And the last chart that we're looking at for the year is Christmas Eve for 2021, and that hangs out or that blows up with yet another Uranus event, Saturn in Aquarius square Uranus in Taurus. And I believe this is the third time it's happened this year. It's focusing again on you, your brand, who you are, and your career, what you are doing as a legacy. So I've already spoken about this in the video, so you can go back and re-listen to it, but it's good. They haven't moved that much, whereas Mars has almost zipped around the whole zodiac. Saturn and Uranus are, for some reason, have just been very, very slow and very much stayed in the same spot this year. or 2021. And so you're not gonna have to figure out what they're gonna do except for one time, because they all hit the same spots after that. The degrees do change, so you may want to consult a local astrologer in order to know where that's going to hit your chart. Because I think Taurus, for you this year, for you and probably Scorpio too, your opposite sign, this is going to be a big year. These planets are hitting big sensitive points for you and heralding a great deal of change. The year ends on almost at New Year's, actually December 30th, where Jupiter finally does enter the sign of Pisces. And so again, after it backs up into Aquarius, and, it's a good thing with Jupiter in Aquarius. That's going to be good. That's going to mean that there's going to be lots of generosity to the masses, that lots of public works are going to get done, that people are going to be employed and engaged. And so Jupiter in Aquarius is something we really, really need in 2021. But Jupiter in Pisces is that compassionate sign too, and the healing that we really need to get done. And at the very end of the year, when Jupiter goes into Pisces, I think that's where the country will breathe a collective sigh of relief and say, okay, now we feel like we're on the other side of this horrendous nightmare that was 2016 to 2020. That's what I think. So that's the wrap up of 2021 for you, Taurus. It's a big year for you. It's a really important year for you, I feel. And there's so many things that you're going to want to examine and re-examine and think about. So let me know down in the comments what things really rang true for you, and come back and listen to this report throughout the year to remind yourself of what's going on, and then comment then after the event passes. Let me know, how did it affect you? Did it affect you, or was it just like a big fat nothing? I'm very curious to know how these things affect you. And if you're interested in getting a personal reading with me, you can look at the let me raise my head up because they're going to put the information right here. So it's going to be, my website is where you can go to look at my services and to see what kind of things are offered. Also, you can email me at coolcrone444@gmail.com, either to book a reading or to ask me questions about things. I'm so grateful for all the subscribers that have clicked that little subscribe button. So thank you very, very much for that. Please like the video. That's tremendously helpful. Please leave a comment below, as I said before, and have a great 2021. And I'll see you next time.